So high-rise buildings are really popular in China over the past years. And we are also seeing that actually a lot of people are getting accustomed to, are being used to live and stay and work in high-rise buildings. So I, as a designer from China, have encountered a lot of challenges, but of course we have made some experiments and made some new explorations to see what we can do for better. We are now in an age of digital information, and we can see that there are a lot of challenges and restraints coming out from our daily lives. For instance, the fintech and internet technologies are now having some new requirement for the spaces in the office, and also this is also the space use is also affected by the culture of the corporate. If we look back, we actually had this person, Frederick Taylor, who said that actually we need a linear arrangement of the desk in the offices. This is a scientific way of managing the people working in the office. That was the belief in the past, because in the past we don't have too much interactions, we don't have too much Q&As, we just need people to sit there and work. That was in the past. And we also have Frank Lloyd Wright in 1904. That was his ideal working space. As you can see from the slide, you can see that the central part of the ceiling is actually a transparent one, so that you can get the sunshine, and the staff can work in the desks in the linear, and the leaders will be able to monitor the workers and subordinates from the second floor or from the third floor. And this is a very good way for the employees to cultivate a sense of belonging to the corporate, to work here together, and this is actually an improved version. And later on, you can also see that there are some further improvement out there. For the first time, we have introduced in office spaces of more than 2 layers, so that you can have more interactions with each other. But of course, you see a very clear hierarchy out there, because, for instance, there are some spaces that are designated by the bosses or the management, so that they can better monitor their subordinates. But of course, for individual workers, the conditions have been improved as well. For instance, the desks out there allow you to have a very convenient talk with your co-workers. And then we also have seen quite a number of high-rise buildings. For instance, the Seagram building and also Union Carbide building in 1961. You can see that the spaces out there is different from the past. For instance, you have some separations there, so that the functions of the space is more clearly divided. And then we also have AC system. We also have a lighting system. So this had made possible a bigger working space for people. And here you can see a variety of arrangement of space. Actually, the system of arranging office space is quite mature. Some are in the central, some are separated to each of the end on the left and on the right. And we can also see some other space arrangement. And of course, you can adjust your space arrangement according to the needs of the developer and the users. But of course, you can see that most of the space being used is still within the area instead of on the outside. So I think that what we are seeing here, there are two problems. One is that whether or not this space use is suitable for the function. Because, over the past few years, we see some experimental designs. For instance, from one spot to another spot, you have to go through the core area, otherwise you can't get to the destination. In this system, we think that actually communication is somehow undermined because you have to go through a certain area before you can reach another place. That's not ideal. And then we can also see that Tracker actually raised an idea or has raised an idea, and the idea is that the use of space should be more reasonable and scientific. And then we see some new industries coming out, and the value of the employee is much, much higher in a business circle. So you can see that the bosses and the employees need more time, they spend more time communicating with each other, and the social part is becoming more and more important. So with more interactions, people work with higher efficiency, and then there will be new knowledge being generated from this kind of interaction, and there will be more value generated as a result. So this is the system that I believe is very important. This is SECI model, and we can also see that in the 1960s there was a consulting team from Germany. The name of the team is called Quick Burner, and what they have in mind is that they have a designated duty for each of the team in a company, and then they will allocate space according to their duties. For instance, some people who are working in design, they have more interactions, they have open space. And for the other team, for instance, they for administrative purposes, then they need smaller space. And for research team, they don't need to talk to each other too much, and they actually prefer a more separated space. And then for the corporate headquarters, then you need some smaller spaces as well as some bigger spaces. So you can see that they build up a model of the social relationship inside of an office area, so that they will, on the right hand side, you can see the photo that actually there are some spaces being left on purpose so that people can talk and communicate. This is the office landscape proposed by this team, and you can see that this is how they allocate the spaces in the unit of groups.
And between different groups, they prepared shared furniture as well as the landscape and the plantation. They also put the unused facilities into the corners and used the trolley in the office to share resources. For example, stationery and so forth. if you look at this system in the last century, in the 90s, it was already available, and actually it was quite modern at that time, and it formed itself into a new type. Because this is the one story, you don't have to consider anything about the vertical transportation of people. However, even at the same level, you can see it gave a very obscure definition of a space and the horizontal space. The landscape in the office in last century, in the 60s, people, actually this landscape trend didn't sustain that much because talking about knowledge and innovation, it wasn't that much as we have right now because of the internet. Now people can access more information, but at that time it was impossible. People could not access that much knowledge or information, and it didn't go socialize. But for this modern, in Google, in Facebook, if you look at their offices, it is right the style they have in their office. Of course, some other examples, very interesting ones as well. This is a CB Bank, at the headquarters of a bank in Deutschland. It's just like a village. And for each unit, 4 or 6 people share the same unit. Within the unit, there are a lot of the crossroads between different units. It can be external or internal crossroads. If you look at inside, if you look at the space, this is a quite obscure definition of an interior definition, interior space. People can arrange their own workspace as they will, and we actually conducted a lot of study on this. Under the new model, we have a shared concept. Shared in the past, knowledge is owned by individual, and now knowledge can be shared, and now even the space can be shared as well. In the office building, for example, they can share a lot of things, from furniture to facility. And co-working is another fancy word because of the share, because of transparency. Now we have a co-working environment in more and more office buildings. Co-working is usually exist for one company only. It does not exist between different companies within the same, even within the same building. But if you look at the co-working, we streamline all the different methods of co-working. The co-working can be used for communications, for interfaces, for example. Transparency, multi-purpose, coexistence, and so forth. These are the features of new office buildings. Interior office can be extended to external, even though it is difficult. Recently in China, we used the WeWork model, actually in Soho 3Q, in Tech Temple. These are the incubators in Beijing, and they tried these models in the interior space arrangement. We think that in the future, in the office buildings, it will be more and more complex. It is for different purposes. It's not that you combine different things into one office building that is complex, no. But rather, for each function in this complex, it serves for one clear definition of purpose. In the recent years, we tried different models, and today I'm going to share with you one model in Baidu, in Shenzhen, in the high-tech industrial park. During the bidding period, we found a very interesting topic because Baidu asked the bidders to know the specific requirements of an internet company. At that time, when we went for bidding, if you look at all the bidders, most of the bidders, they provide a efficient and flexible layout of the office building. Our proposal was different. Number one, we think that to some extent, the functional complex is very helpful for Baidu. Number two, in Guangdong, we need to have external space for the office building. Because of the weather consideration, 30% of the area was used for external space. Our proposal was actually well accepted by the owner. And after the construction, they accepted fully and returned the external arrangement. The 2 towers of Baidu, the construction of the east tower is already finished. the floor area is smaller. Traditionally, you can see that this building is very, very unique. This one is not a very closed one. It's not a looped one. And from the external, you can see it's very strange. It's very modern and very unique. Vertically, you can see a lot of balconies and connections on the walls. At the beginning of the designing period, we implemented a comprehensive public space system. We hope that everybody can access to another place horizontally without having to take a lift or elevator. So we visited Tencent headquarters. We had a very good experience in Tencent building because, if you work in the internet company, there were a lot of interactions between different people, different departments. Otherwise, the efficiency will be hindered. In Baidu, internally there was ER Square, but externally we can also set up such connections so that people can access different departments easily. From the layout, you can see West Tower and the East Tower. The floor areas are different, and the designing are also different. In the West Tower, it's more thorough. First of all, we had a cut from the center because in this way we can have a better lighting there. Then we provide a public space in the center, and for the connections, we set up a internal transportation loop within the building. For the East Tower, since the floor area is smaller, we didn't prepare that much for it, for the design of East Tower. And the original one is to the left. We still cut it, and then we shifted. And to the right, you can see we set up the connections between the different rooms in the office building. So this is another one during the designing period, the layouts of two buildings. This is the West Tower. The whole system is more vertical, is more dynamic. The East Tower. Let's look at the East Tower. The subduction, the balcony, as well as the connection, based on the original one. So all these spaces are open for the public. Because of the shift, the one side of the building has a larger square floor area. Based on the specific requirements of shared resources between different departments, we think that we should prepare more public spaces externally. Not every developer is willing to accept this kind of design, but the owner is willing to. And internally, we set up cubicles for conferences, for meetings, as well as for the department heads. The efficiency for the layout is very high, and in this way, we can trade off the area loss of 3% of external public space. We have the multi-purpose area in the orange area. These tea rooms and the discussion rooms, interaction rooms, and also public activity rooms. On the three sides, the two sides have direct connections with the external area. From the layout, you can access the interaction first, and after that, you can go to the office area, to the left and to the right. Internally, they can take stairs to go upstairs or downstairs to access other departments. And this is the external design for the traffic. Because of the venue, the floor area is very limited. For the tower and the skirt, it is not in the regular shape. From the ground, we set up a 15-meter high lobby. In the lobby, You can see that it has functions of a reception, transportation, so on and so forth. And there's a auditorium as well as a dining hall, a 4-story dining hall for the employees. And our purpose, to return more external space for people. You can see this is a simulated external balcony. This is the finished scene. In the office building, first of all, in the area 1, there are 4 elevators, 4 lifts, and in the central area, there's no more such lifts. From level 4, there is a connection from the dining hall to the office building. We encourage the employees to walk to the 5th floor instead of taking a lift back to the office building directly. Otherwise, you will feel that you're trapped in the office building. So this is on the 5th floor. This is a kind of a mezzanine. And from here, you can see the external view. This is the roof of the building. And outside is the Science Tech Industrial Park. Far to the end is the Tencent building. You can see the plantation as well. The landscape is very beautiful. You can see these are beautiful designs, and with this, it helps with the people who work in such intensified space. Every day, after dinner, after lunch, people can come around and have a chit-chat with each other and have a rest with the outside. This is a standard roof, three lift zones. This is for the medium to high stories. This is for the low stories. Without the lift, you can see this very spacious area for reception. For every 8 stories, there will be a connection to the balcony outside. To some stories, there are refreshment and entertainment area. This is near the refreshment room, refreshment area. This is the office building. Internally, you can see there's a stairs there. People can go upstairs and downstairs easily. And this is a very open space in the office building, in the office area. Externally, there's a stairs as well. With the stairs, people can access quickly. Therefore, to the left, you can see the stairs, and to the right, there's a slope. And people can stay for a while. And 2 systems can provide a quick access and a quickly, very easily. In the high stories, there can be interferences there, and we provide the blockage. The glass blocks there is between. It can resist the wind at 1.5 to 2 meters per second, and it is to the northwest, which is against the wind direction most of the time in the year.
The inside space and outside spaces actually have an overlapping area, and you can see through the curtain walls. And we can also see that this is a public resting area for people, and you can just spend some time off there. The lighting, we have LED lighting there so that you know where the boundaries are, and you're not afraid of being so high up in a space. And inside of the building, we also have 2 restaurants. And if you have the restaurant inside of the building, then you can avoid a lot of elevator traffic. And also during the peak hours, you can just direct the traffic to different restaurants. And here is another design that we have. This is a mosaic design for the sake of the cost. You know, here you have this mosaic, and then you can achieve a certain level of reflection of the light on the outside of the building. And in China, actually somehow it's not an easy job to try something new for the outside space. As a local team, we would like to promote our idea and let more people understand and appreciate our design. And actually, we want to say that we design for the needs of our customers instead of having some empty talk out there that cannot be implemented. Thank you so much.